Hey students, welcome back to another week of study tips, and today I'm actually responding to a comment that was left by one of you guys, and it was about bad time management. And today I'll be focusing about time management specifically in an assessment, and later down the track I'll probably do another one about time management just as a general thing throughout the year of study. So in terms of bad time management during an assessment, a lot of this can be minimized or potentially even eliminated altogether just by doing a few simple things. So my first recommendation is that you guys should try to recreate the situation if possible and where possible. Sometimes you can blame bad time management because of other factors, like because the fact that maybe you're feeling concerned or anxious or unfamiliar with the situation. But I think a lot of the times, if you can try to practice in a scenario or an environment that you create to be very similar to your assessment, this can often help to alleviate those sort of feelings of stress or anxiety. So for me personally, I knew that once when I was at school, I actually knew I had an assessment for I don't remember what subject it was, but I remember feeling a little bit anxious about it. And so I actually went into the specific room where I was going to be having that test, and I did like a mock exam in there for myself when that classroom wasn't being used. And just that in itself really helped me a lot. And, let's just say, for example, if you're doing an oral presentation, well then, rather than practicing at home where you might not have the same sort of vibe and kind of channel what it feels like, go to school, go into your classroom and see what that feels like, because then at least that way you can kind of gauge, oh, maybe I should look more on this side, or I need to speak louder when I'm facing this way, or whatever it is. Even little things like writing with the same pen, making sure that I had my water bottle set up and my particular station arranged the way that I wanted it to be arranged in the assessment. These little things can help you figure out little unknown things that might trip you along the way when you're in the assessment and only freak you out that little bit more. So let's just say, like, on the day, you've got a runny nose and you've got a bit of a hay fever, but you don't have any tissues on you. But if you practice having tissues there in front of you, you kind of get used to that space that you're practicing in, and so therefore that transfers into the assessment. And it sounds so silly, but these little things are what count in terms of trying to make you as comfortable as possible. My second tip is to divide your time up. Don't overcompensate. So when you're going into assessment how much time you're given, right? And you know how much time you need to divide that assessment up, whether it's part 1 needs to be done in 30 minutes and part 2 needs to be done in 45 minutes, for example. You have a general idea. When you're at home practicing, practice this. When you're headed into your assessment, have the mindset of, okay, every 10 minutes, I know where I want to be up to. And that's kind of what I did for my English essays. Because I knew that I had 1 hour to do an essay, I planned the first 10-minute chunk to be my planning and introduction, my second 10-minute to be my first body paragraph, my next 10 minutes to be my second body paragraph. Good at maths, yet again, another example of me failing very poorly at numbers. So when you're practicing at home, make sure that you're progressing through your practice exams or whatever it is, looking at the time, because once you get used to that routine, again, it comes back to that familiarity. You know what you're doing in your SAC or in your exam, and knowing gives you confidence. Knowing is power, so use that to your advantage. Now, when you go into the exam and you don't stick to the time, do not overcompensate. So what I mean by that is, okay, let's just say you're doing part 1 and you've got part 2. Part 1, you have to be done in 30 minutes so that you've got a good 45 minutes for part 2. But if you end up spending 40 minutes on part 1, you've spent an extra 10 minutes on that, right? And then in your mind, because maybe you're going to be frantic, you're going to be thinking, okay, that's fine, I'm going to finish this, and then when I get into part 2, I'm just going to speed along. But that's not the way you should go about it, because that's only going to make you feel more stressed. If you haven't finished part 1, stop it. Stop right there. Move on to the part 2, because it's going to be way better for you to work backwards, finish that second half, and then complete the rest. Of course, it depends on how much, weight in marking will be given to part 1 and part 2, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. If you just stick by the rules you set yourself and the guidelines, then that itself helps you track time. And there's nothing worse than getting used to knowing that, let's say every 10 minutes you need to be 1 paragraph done, and then suddenly in your exam, you go over by 5 minutes. And then you're like, okay, so I need to be done with my second paragraph in 10 minutes plus another 5, so that's 15. So that's going to be at 10:35. And then let's say you do that, but you ticked over again to 10:40, and then it's just a matter of chasing up and it just gets stressful. So do not overcompensate. Stick by your times. Do what you know. Of course, this is determined by what subject you're doing and again, the weight of marking. But I know from experience that when I tried to, overcompensate, you just get flustered and you become all over the place, and that's not something you want to do in terms of time management. Third thing, as dumb as it sounds, practice. Sometimes bad time management in an assessment isn't the only thing you can blame. A lot of it actually has to come down to how much you practice beforehand. Usually when you have bad time management in an assessment, it's a sign that potentially you didn't study enough or you didn't study adequately enough for this particular assessment. Time management isn't necessarily about what's just happening in the assessment, but it's about all the things that you've done leading up to it. Just because the end product looks amazing, so you might have really good time management, doesn't mean that you haven't put in the effort beforehand. So that's why you have to practice. Like if I use an example, this is going to be a bad example, I'm sorry about this, but okay, let's just say a person who likes to go to the gym a lot and they've got the muscles and the six pack and all that kind of stuff, like visually it might look good, but it's really about the beforehand that's led up to that. It's the same thing with time management. I don't know how gym and time management but whatever. Okay, so you have to put the hard work in beforehand. And a lot of what I've explained to you, the fact that you need to work out your timing inside an exam, the fact that you should recreate the situation, both those things have to do with practicing beforehand. So it's really just being as prepared as possible so that when you're in your assessment, you don't have issues with bad time management because you've already knuckled out that problem before you're actually in there. And the only thing that needs to challenge you while you're in there is the actual questions itself. The other thing I wanted to add is that I've reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube! What? I just wanted to say, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel. When I first started this channel, I thought, okay, by the end of 2016, I would love to have 1,000 subscribers. I don't even know if that's possible, but you guys have made it possible, and I really, really appreciate your support. And when you guys write comments about how I'm helping you and how you enjoy my videos, it really does make my day and make me really happy. And I feel like all YouTubers say this, but for the first time I kind of understand where they're coming from, because what you're doing is just kind of talking to a camera, which is kind of weird, but people are watching you in the end. So because of all your support, I actually want to do a giveaway. And I haven't put this in title because I wanted to leave this for my subscribers or the people who generally do watch my videos for the sake of watching it. I've published a bookmark for VCE students, and even if you're not studying VCE but you're doing language analysis or analysing articles and how they persuade, this is a really handy bookmark. So on the front, I've got a vocabulary bank on substitute words or synonyms for the word persuade, because you're going to be using the word persuade all the time in your essays. But I've got a bunch of other words that you can use instead to improve the quality of your essay and to give you more vocabulary as well. On the back is a checklist of particular things that is required of you when you write a language analysis essay. So things like background, title, author, that type of stuff. It's just a really good bookmark because you can put it in any of your books and you can refer to it anytime you want. So in order to join this giveaway, I'm actually going to be giving away 3 of these, and I'll write the instructions below in the description box on what you should do in order to join. But basically all you need to do is like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I will be making a Facebook post sharing this video at some point. And so if you keep track of VCE Study Guides' Facebook page, once you see that post, go and tag 3 of your friends there. Only the people who actually do the tagging will be in the giveaway, not the people who you tag. So if your friends want to join, tell them to just do the same thing. And yeah, I will announce the winners on my Facebook page and also in the description box of my next video. So keep an eye out for that and you guys can score one of these. I'm pretty proud of myself, I have to say. I think it's really, really awesome. And I wish I had something like this while I was at school. So yeah. So if you are someone who struggles with time management and you gain some tips out of today, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. Subscribe as well if you haven't already. Welcome to the VCE students family. And I know some of you aren't even studying VCE, but you're a couple of years younger than that, or you're from different states in Australia. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm really glad that the tips I'm giving are helpful to you guys. Comment below if you've got anything to add to what I've said, if you've got anything you want me to talk about next time, and if you guys have got an assessment coming up, start implementing these tips straight away. See you next time, guys. Bye! If I had spares at the start of the day or at the end of the day, that meant I could either go to school late or go home early. So that was really fantastic. I would either have a little sleep in or just go out